Hello and welcome again to Training Tuesday. It is October 22nd already. This year's going to end before we know it. Today I wanted to dive into one of the answers that I gave in the Facebook community this week. Somebody asked a good question, and I thought that the answer was complicated enough that it would be worth actually kind of like going through it here and showing you how I solved this particular challenge, particularly because it really demonstrates, I think, the value of understanding the tools that you have in your toolkit. Ontraport is a big set of tools. It's got a whole bunch of different features and functionality and areas of the app, and there's lots of stuff that's kind of buried away in various parts of the app, and just like a tool set, if you don't know what's in your toolkit, you don't really know the best way maybe to solve a problem. If you're trying to drill a hole and you don't realize that you have a drill, then that's a challenge. But if you know that you've got a drill in your bag and you know how to use it, then you can figure out how to make that hole. And so yeah, Ontraport's a lot like that in a lot of ways. If you don't really take the time to kind of dive in and understand what the tools you're working with are, then it's going to be more challenging to come up with solutions. And look, no problem. Come to Facebook and ask if you want to. We'll solve your challenges for you. But I recommend at some point diving into the campaign builder, for example, and just looking at all the various triggers you have, or all the various conditions you have, or all the various goals that you have to work with. Because once you kind of get your head around how those things work, coming up with solutions to some of these challenges actually can be pretty easy and fun. So let me show you how I did this particular problem. The problem that the user proposed was that they wanted to follow up with an email or something, some step in the campaign, but only during business hours. And if a lead came in and it was not during business hours, then they wanted to wait until the business opened on Monday at 9 in the morning or whatever it is, and then proceed with the campaign from there. So that's cool. That's an interesting challenge. We have some functionality that helps you kind of like right out of the gate with some of that, right? We can only run. We have waits that only run on certain days of the week. So that's that's a pretty easy way to limit yourself to weekdays, but it doesn't allow you to limit it to certain hours of the day. And the user was right. I can't remember who posted this question, but they were right. This functionality doesn't exist right out of the box. There's not like a, wait until my business is open functionality, or wait until it's between 8 and 5 p.m. That functionality doesn't exist natively in the campaign builder. So I was able to put together kind of a slick little campaign. It took me about 5 minutes. And what you're going to do, I'm going to show you how I would use this in real life. So say you have a campaign. The trigger is somebody fills out a form, and it's a particular form. It's my demo form or whatever it might be. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the person's use case was, but they wanted to, some form or something happens, and they wanted to wait they wanted to send an email, so we sent an email, no problem, but they wanted to wait a while until it was their business hours, right? So I'm only open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, let's say. And if you go into a wait step, that seems like you could wait until, I don't know, some time passes, maybe. There's not really an answer to that right there. They're correct about that. You can wait until the day of the week is Tuesday, but then that's gonna the problem with this, if you wanted to just wait until the day of the week is Monday and Monday through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, is that they could come in and it could be 6 a.m. or it could be, so say they came in at 6 a.m. Well, you could say, well, let's wait until 9 a.m., right? So actually, I think you can do that in the then wait until the time of the day is 9 a.m. So you could wait until it's 9 a.m., right? You could do that all in one step. The problem is that they come in after, let's see, what would be the problem with this? If they come in after work on Thursday, what's going to happen? It's going to wait until 9 a.m. on Friday, and then it's going to run. That's going to work. Oh, here's the problem, is that if they come in at noon on any day during the week, it's not going to send at noon, because it's going to wait until the next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. And that's not what they wanted. They wanted it to go immediately if the lead is submitted during business hours. So cool, it's a little bit of a tricky one. And here's what we're gonna do. I'm actually gonna make a separate campaign. This is a good use for a tool that we call nested campaigns. So I'm gonna delete that step because it doesn't work for us. This one here I just added, didn't do anything with it. I'm gonna create a new element here, and it's gonna be a nested campaign. That's the add to campaign element. And what does it say on here? It says add contact to another campaign and then return here when they reach an end or an exit of that campaign. So when that is, they're going to go into this nested campaign, some other campaign, they're going to work their way through that campaign, and when they hit the end or an exit of that particular campaign, they'll come back here and continue moving on. All right, so that's what we're going to do, and then we're going to go over and look at this other campaign that I put together and see what happens over there. So they're going to get added to the campaign. They're going to get added at this first, I'm going to go into edit mode here so you can see how this works. They're going to get added at this first element in the upper left. That's always where they're added when they're either added manually or in groups or via some automation. And then what are we going to do? What's the next step here? Well, I'm going to wait until it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it'll continue if it's one of those days, right? And then I am going to, now here's the key. Actually, I'm going to move back here. I'm going to show you something, and it's a particular condition. And this is the tool that you needed to know that you had in order to know how to solve this problem. And it's a tricky one. It's in here in conditions, and it is this one here that's called today is before or after this particular date and time. Okay? Today is before or after this particular date and time. So, what do we need to know? Here's how this works. It goes today is before or after, and then you can pick a specific date, so like before or after January 1st, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to say today is before or after, today is after, well, today, at 8 a.m. in my time zone. So if it's after 8 a.m. is what I'm trying to say, and remember this can be switched from before and after, and I added a second one, and today is before 4 p.m. in my time zone, then it's going to say the answer to this condition is going to be yes, right? And so if it's yes, then that means we have it is during business hours, right? Because they came down here. It is, we already know it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then I'm going to tell you what I've done here with this other element here in 1 second. I'm just skipping to this right now. Today is before or after, but it's after 8 a.m. and before 4 p.m. Actually, we had said 5, so I'll just change it to 5. So it's between 8 and 5. I actually had said 9 to 5, so we'll just do it just right. And if yes, then it's going to go to the end element, okay? And what is that going to do? Well, they're going to have reached the end, and they're going to come back here and continue, right? So say somebody comes in at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Well, it's going to come to this wait, and the system's going to say, yep, it's Tuesday, move along. And then they're going to come down here, and it's going to say, is it after 9? Yes. Is it before 5? Yes. So the answer to that is yes. Boom, they hit this end, and then they come back here and on to the next step. Now, what happens if it's not? Okay, what happens if it's 8 o'clock on Friday? Well, the system's going to say, is it Monday through Friday? Yes. Come down here. It's going to say 8 a.m. Is it after 8 a.m.? No is the answer. Okay, cool. So what are we going to do? We're going to go down the no path. Okay. And then what have I got this set? I've got this set to just wait an hour. Okay, it's not business hours yet. we're going to check again in an hour to see if it's business hours then. If you want to change that to 15 minutes, you can. But I just figured once an hour is good. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to the top, and I'm going to see, I'm going to just basically check again, right? I'm going to see if it's still Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So it might be Saturday now, in which case they'll stop here and it'll wait until Monday, and then it'll proceed at midnight. And then what'll happen is it'll say, no, it's still not between 9 and 5, and it's going to go down here. It'll wrap around, and it'll say, okay, it's Monday, now it's 11, because we waited an hour. Now it's 1 in the morning. Skip around, 2 in the morning, skip around, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the morning, and then boom, it goes to the end because it's now between 9 and 5. That means it's going to kick them back here, and it'll move forward. So hopefully that makes sense. Relatively simple. The one thing I wanted to point out is that this feature requires that it is a relative date around some date in the contact record. Okay, so what it wants me to pick here is some date in the contact record. Now, I could have said there is no option here for today is 9 a.m. in my time zone, just to skip the date, or it doesn't say today is after today. That's not really an option. So it's looking at whether it is after a particular date that lives in the contact record. So I need a date in the contact record that is always going to be today. Okay, that way I know that when we're looking at at this condition, it's going to be checking right now's time and seeing if the time right now is between 9 and 5. So I need a field in the contact record that just always equals the current date. Okay, and there's a few options in here that might work. Date modified, last activity, probably date modified would work, or last activity might work. Hard to say. It depends on the use case. I'm not sure if this person just filled out a form, then last activity would get updated. But you know what? Just to be on the safe side, what I did here is I created a new field in the contact record, and I just called it today's date. And I put it in the system information. I'll show you what that looks like, how I did that real quick here. I'll go to settings, field editor. And this is not a field that I need to look at, so I put it in the system information tab. And where did I put it? I put it current time. Oh, wait, what? Maybe I didn't. Where did I put it? Current time, date time. Today's date. Maybe I was sloppy and I just put it in the old place. Where did I put it? Well, it's in here somewhere. I should have put it in the system information field. Date time. No. Anyway, it's in here somewhere. Gosh, I swear I put it in here. I should have put it in here. Time since last activity. Yeah, I should have put it in here. I would have just added a date field called today's date. Today's date. Incidentally, we're building a feature to help you find fields to solve the problem that I just ran into. Where is that field? We're working on a little feature to help you search for those, and that'll be cool. And so yeah, I'd come up here and say date, and just create that new date field. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that now because I already did it. But today's date. So here's what I'm doing: is every time this thing circles around, I'm going to make sure that that field is set to today, and that functionality is built in. So I just go update the field. And I set it to, you can set a specific date if you select up here, or you can just say today or yesterday or whatever. I want to set it to today. So I'm updating the contact and making sure that field is set to today, because remember, this lead could have come in at Friday afternoon, and after business hours were closed, and this is going to go around like 50 times before Monday morning at 9, right? 50 something times. So each time I want to make sure that today's date field is updated to today. It's going to say Saturday, it's going to say Sunday, it's going to say Monday. And then when it comes down to here, it's going to say today is after today's date at 9 a.m. and before today's date at 5 p.m. So just a quick little campaign that I built. I published this sucker. Uh-oh, am I logged out for some reason? That's not good. Did I log myself out? Oh, golly. Let me log myself back in. Why did that happen? Okay. Let's just get back in there, make sure that thing is published. So I can say search by date modified, continue during business hours. Okay, that looks good. It's published. And now what I can do is make sure, oh, I didn't save that other campaign. Darn it. So what I can do now is add them to that campaign. I'm going to go business hours, continue during business hours, done. And then my email and whatever I want to do after that. Obviously, I can continue. But that's kind of cool because this little add to campaign element now, that can be used anywhere in any campaign that you want. You don't need to make a new one each time. That's just like a little function that you send contacts off to. They'll sit there and they'll wait until it's your business hours, and then they'll come back and continue. So that's actually something that I'm going to share via the marketplace. You guys can do this too. Share this campaign. And if I save this, I can share it. I'm going to share with all users. It's kind of cool. I'm going to do this later because I want to make sure that it's well, first of all, that I'm doing it on the right campaign, make sure that it's all dialed. But you can share this campaign, give it a description, select a category. I'll probably put it in advance so you can find it there. And then, yeah, we'll share it. We'll get it approved in the system. So then you won't even need to make a field because when you add that campaign from the marketplace to your account, the field will be created. That today's date field will be created for you automatically. And all you'll need to do is go into that one condition and set your particular office hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever it might be, and you'll be able to use that in your own campaigns. So, quick little idea about how to use some of these features, and then just someday when you have a little bit of time, it might be worth just jumping in here and going through and looking at these triggers. What are all these things? When you know the tools in your toolbox, you'll have more possibility for kind of creative solutions to whatever challenge is thrown at you. This thing is a very flexible and powerful set of tools. And once you know what you've got, you can do a lot with them. So that's the thought for the day. I will see you next week. We're going to do something about conditional blocks and related objects. It's going to be a much more advanced use case next week. So we'll talk to you then. Until then, we'll see you online. Thanks, guys.